Hey, I'm Nathaneo Johnson. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Series. I'm 21 years old. I'm currently a junior at Yale University, studying computer science and economics. I love playing basketball on the side, of course. I also love powerlifting, but most importantly, startups, which is why I'm here. Series is the first AI social network. We are essentially using AI friends to make warm introductions via iMessage to help you meet new people based on a want or need you have. For message count, I think we're at around like 250,000, which is really exciting to see. We raised $3.1 million in 14 days, which is now the largest round of any startup that is currently in the Ivy League. Series was honestly a really, interesting story. It actually started when Sean, my co-founder, and I started a podcast our freshman year at Yale. This is interviewing founders and CEOs from 23andMe to Genius Lyrics to Runway. We're very actually curious on how exactly they used their own warm network to build successful businesses. We know how hard it is to get access to the right people, especially for professional reasons, whether that is raising capital or that's getting a new job. I'd imagine that anyone who goes to a SWE or IB internship, there's definitely 5 people that were probably just equal, if not better, of a candidate that didn't make it. College internship that aren't able to have, say, like dad's golf buddy to get them into the IB internship. I'd say connections, but more importantly, I guess perceived value is something that usually requires a warm network to be able to get into. This is a problem that we need to be able to help solve, and that can be solved through essentially using agentic matchmaking to make those connections more accessible. So what happened is we ended up experimenting with AI, right? I come from a CS background and was able to initially construct this like early version chatbot that used emails to make warm intros. We blasted that to Yale's email list, to Princeton, I think a day later, and it kind of had some sort of virality, kind of blew up within that student community. People were using this for like startup ideas, art gallery ideas, kind of a specific range, like mainly professional reasons, to realize that this should be the future of how we network. I don't think we're competing against anyone. And the most common reason why is all of them have in common a number of your immediate follower, connection, like count. We have no numbers on this platform because it's purely agent to agent. That's something that I think Series will actually solve, and then hopefully myself can solve as well. Cool thing about what we're doing with this Series race, which obviously a lot of people are talking about, is we're doing something a bit unconventional, right? By creating this house, what we did is we figured out a way to incentivize people to, one, of course, grow our product and use that, but 2, tie to something that I think is a bit social. Instead of us trying to focus on organic way of having interns be paid remotely, an organic way of being able to market your product with UGC content, which everyone does. Why not have our interns come into a house, right? Instead of them just being online, to do the same work they're going to do previously. That's kind of how the idea occurred. And I think what makes a company go viral is doing something a bit controversial, but having the right facts behind what they're doing. If you do something controversial that was stupid, right, it's not going to go viral for the right reason, nor is it going to make you called a viral company. You're going to just look stupid in public. I think if you build something, product or a system, and you have some sort of like underlying reason that people can pick up on, even if it's like 5%, 10%, that's what creates the virality, because then it's like, okay, why do they actually do this? This is for a reason. Like, it creates this like cool spiral of thought, and that's what leads people to share that, because this sort of uncertainty is what people like to see, right? That's what gets them excited. Even if it is controversial or crazy, I don't think it matters. Take what they have, amplify the depth of what they're doing and how it's unique, and then use that as a base, something controversial. Then you get eyes on you, and like it all supports back a reason that you intentionally have. Grew up with a single mom in Irvine, California. I would say very much grew up with like a inclination towards obviously like doing things on the technological side. So like this was building like a walking stick called Smart Step, I called it in 8th grade. These ultrasonic sensors and Arduino microprocessors in order to essentially scan objects in front of it. But of course, I was playing varsity basketball, right? So like, I love the kind of duality. I think that was my biggest thing around growing up, is like, can I really do things that maybe are expected of me around like, being able to hoop, being able to dunk, all those fun things, but like also at the same time, balancing that with the duality of like being the most cracked in the room. I think after especially becoming valedictorian in my high school, like that was where I realized that, yeah, I think I can change the norm. I think that although Yale University does have a few famous entrepreneurs, there wasn't much. That was like one of the bigger problems. And I think that's because there's a big encouragement to rather wait until you finish school to start building a company, or there's this notion that you immediately have to drop out to do so. It's very rare to be able to kind of pair both together. Now that series has been able to raise the largest round in the current Ivy League of students. We're trying to stand for the point that you can build a successful venture, right? Maybe while staying in class, or at least while keeping things that are closer to you. And that's because you can use them as an advantage instead of a disadvantage. A lot of people see school as something that takes time away, which maybe it does for late homework assignments or tests, but the benefit is you're able to connect with your community, especially if that's who you're marketing to. And we recently did a marketing initiative that I think being a student has a tremendous impact on in a positive direction, because we know the value of staying in school and being able to communicate with these people while being in class with them.
As a founder, you already know, ideas are the easy part. It's the execution, actually building the product, that slows everything down. That's where Lovable comes in. It's not just an AI tool, it's your on-demand engineering team. Simply describe your idea. Lovable then builds a full front-end, back-end, and database so you can launch real production-ready software without writing code. It's already powering over 100,000 new products a day, helping 2.5 million builders turn ideas into software just by describing what they want. No devs, no delays, no excuses. They're launching in weeks, not months. And guess what? These teams are still tiny. In fact, Team EO is also using Lovable to build our upcoming EO School platform, and we're loving it. If you're a non-technical founder or just want to build without bottlenecks, try Lovable today for free. Use the promo code EO20YT to get 20% off your first purchase of the Lovable Pro plan.
We've had talks with VCs, of course, before the raise of like, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this MVP we made? But oftentimes people were very skeptical, actually, finding out to say like, this wouldn't work. This is not an industry that will be able to proliferate long term, because we weren't building something that people have seen before. This wasn't like anything on the B2B side, which was like very hot, I think around like January, which is when like we were thinking about actually seriously pitching. We actually had, I think, a meeting with a former Andreessen Horowitz partner, decided to take the trip to SF just to pitch it for the second time, which ended up into $1 million dinner. One of the biggest, most important things is really just like focusing on how you tell the story. Here's what's happening in the market. Here's why it's changing. Here's why I'm going to be on top of that change. Or even better, here's how I'm creating a new market on top of that. That was a story that we pitched, that we are creating a new market and we'd be the first industry standard of that market. We knew there was a shift in consumer AI. There was a shift in like this called a technology window, that people are more enticed to invest, or more important than that, I guess, give AI a chance in the social space. This has not been done before. Two black guys who go to an Ivy League to raise this amount of capital. After that, we've seen so many other companies raise money very fast because it's okay, if those guys can do it, I definitely can do it, which is another norm to break. So it's like, whenever you do something first, it's like equally fun and exciting as fearful, because you don't know how the world's gonna take it, but it shouldn't stop you from doing it. Speed has been our biggest asset. A lot of people are scared to move at fast speeds because things break. We're not scared of that. It's not about a certain battle, right? It's about like, the war, right? It's about you being able to like all time have sort of a capture or share around your own industry and your own niche. The faster you do that, you gotta do that at all costs. But building something that has like depth, right? And that can be depth through how you have innovative, some sort of like unique technology. That can be depth of how you're approaching like your consumerism. Once you can like amplify that depth and showcase that to the world through your marketing, that's what makes something stick, because that's something that people will remember as a new iteration of whatever industry they're in. The perfect example is, of course, I love the analogy of like the horses to cars. People always say they want a faster horse. Maybe some people heard that quote before. It's because like they're very used to like a 10x of what they have, instead of going in the next iteration of what's actually needed. I think that's like something that at least we pride ourselves in, is like, we're not thinking of like a better LinkedIn or a better social platform. We're thinking of what's the next iteration of what can actually be a useful product for people to utilize to build better relationships and connections. Putting yourself in a position where you look up to say, I want to be like that one day. It's not a bad thing to do. That's like having some sort of like idol or roadblock. But I like to have a variety of like saying, I've seen these different trends from companies that are doing things like SpaceX to Facebook to like all these different social platforms. How can I take all that knowledge and go in a new direction? because that's how you really build innovation. I think all the stories of all the social platforms inspire me in some way, but to take all that together leads me to say, I want the story to inspire myself in the next 10 years versus saying, I see one company that I want to straight shoot for and become that in the next 10 years.